Hello, everybody. It's Chuck Carnevale, co-founder of FastGraphs, the fundamentals analyzer software tool. And back in late February, I did an article on a company that was actually recommended to me by a subscriber to the YouTube channel called Alpha Pro Tech, and I positioned this as a COVID play. And this is what the stock looked like back then. So let's go ahead and look at that. This was the YouTube video that I sent you, and this was on February 8th, 2021. And the point is, I talked about how the company, had been a flatlining company and then has had this huge surge. And, the stock was trading at $16.49, when I did that, as you can see here. But here's the point I want to make. Here's what it looks like today. Okay, and what I want you to really see here is that, these are monthly closing prices. So it was a couple dollars above that, and this is where it's at now. Now, today, the stock is actually down about 9%. It's actually been down double digits. It's trading at about 11. All right. So what I want you to see it from a perspective point of view. I'm sorry. Let me go into this. If I put this stock, from where I was looking at it originally somewhere about right here, and now the stock is trading about right here. That's actually relatively minuscule because nothing has changed. Now, what's interesting is, and what will really be interesting, is this company reports, it's estimated right now that they're going to report their earnings on March 9th. That's about 4 days from, I guess that'll be early next week. And, the estimate for 2020 is $1.79. Now, if I go to other sites like Yahoo, their analysts say $1.79. If I go down here and look at their next 5-year growth rate, their analysts say 15%. If I go to FastGraphs, we're saying $1.79 and $2.49. Yahoo is saying $1.79 and $2.49. Now, there's only one analyst on the Yahoo universe, and in FastGraphs, we only have one analyst. So that's something that you always want to take into consideration when you're looking at this. And, this is a company that's had a long history of much slower growth than what we're seeing right here. It's been averaging about 7% growth, as you can see by looking at the graph. But what I really want you to see during this COVID, the earnings of this company shot up dramatically. So if I get price off the graph, we see this massive explosion in earnings going on here. And then when I put price back on the graph, we see a lot of price volatility, and you actually see it better when I look at the long-term graph. So this stock went from, a high price of 21, fell all the way down to 17, then rallied all the way back up to 22 again, then fell all the way down here to, $11 a share, back up to 16, 17 that I wrote about it. Now we're back down to about 11, but this is not very much is moving. Now, the analysts, as I just showed you, the forecast on FastGraphs, we're looking for $1.79 this year and $2.49 next year. Those estimates haven't changed at this point. Now, the estimates were a little higher 6 months ago. That's something to think about. But all I'm saying here is what's really changed is the market, and what's really changing is market sentiment. As we all know, the market right now is taking a big dive here today. Well, not a big dive. It's not. S&P's down a little bit, Dow's down a little bit, Nasdaq's down a little bit. Stocks have been dropping here recently. This stock is down almost 9 or 10%. Now, they report earnings. I'm going to guess that earnings are going to come in close to this $1.79, because one of the things that everyone's worried about, and I want to talk about this briefly, is the fact that, the company makes masks, and, the mask and the COVID is what really got this going up. Now, the question is, they're lifting the mask mandates. Now, they've lifted them in Florida totally, but yet there's not an establishment in my county here, it's just Hillsborough County, that I can go into yet that isn't still requiring the masks. And, there's talks of, the administration and the federal level continuing the mask mandate, and Fauci's even recommending 2 masks. So I don't know that masks are going to go away. And even if they do lift all the mask mandates, I believe there's a lot of people traumatized out there that are going to continue to wear masks. So this surge in business for Alpha Pro Tech is probably going to exist for a while. The question is, what's it going to do to the stock? Well, I don't know. I don't predict short-term stock price movements. But this, what's happened with this stock is bad from a standpoint of, if you look at it at pure percentages, but if you look at it relative to earnings and relative to what it really looks like relative to that, it's not really that big a deal. Now, in the long run, earnings determine market price. If this company does grow at the rate it's expected to this year, which is like almost a 700% growth rate, if it does come in at $1.79, if it grows another 30 or 40% next year, that's really significant. So far, none of the analysts have changed. No estimates have changed on it. If I go, for example, to the site Seeking Alpha here, and I go into their earnings section, and then I look at earnings estimates, I want you to see that we got the same number here. We got 249 consensus for 2021, and we've got the $1.79 for 2020. And those numbers haven't changed at all on any of the sources yet. Now, will they change? Maybe. I think it's all going to depend on what happens on hopefully March 9th when the company reports earnings. So this is a speculation. It was always a speculation. The company is not a consistent normal growth stock like I would normally recommend. This was a pure COVID play, a pure, let's see if we can play this horrible market and find something positive to invest in as a result. The company's business obviously changed dramatically as a result of COVID. But now the real question is, are they going to continue to sell their products and continue to make earnings? And if they do into 2021, through 2021, like is currently forecast, and then the question becomes, what's it going to look like going to 2022? But let's play with that a little bit. So let me put in these numbers that we have here. Let me go ahead and load those into my custom calculator. And then let me go ahead and load the forecast numbers. So we've got the 249 loaded here. So now what I'd want to do is let's assume that the growth rate goes back to that 7% number, ish number that the company has historically grown at. And then let's draw the graph. So, if the company does hit this $2.49, but then it reverts back to just a normal 7% growth rate from there, it would still be very strong. Now, the other possibility is that earnings could fall back down into what the more, historical norms have been, which has been about 23 cents. That's your real risk here. If this would fall down to where these earnings would turn out to be, 23 cents, and I'm not going to fill it in beyond that just because it takes me too much time, then you could have the stock being significantly overvalued. And then if it grew at 7% a year, not much, there wouldn't be much value here. So this is a speculation. The question is, what do you do? Well, for me, if I bought any so far, I'd be holding it. And I did. By the way, I didn't buy the stock myself. I just shared it because it was shared with me. But had I bought it, I would be holding it at this stage, and I would be focused really strong on what the earnings results look like when they do finally come out on the 9th, and then I would take that added information and make a decision. But this is a speculation, and there is no such thing as, riskless investing in the market. And this is one that obviously, if you really looked at this graph and spent some time analyzing it and even looked at the volatility of the stock, you would see there was a lot of nervousness attached to this. So anyway, I hope this helps you a little bit, gave you a perspective. The stock has obviously done horrible since I originally produced the first video. The question is, what's it going to do from here? And I believe that's going to be an unfolding story as earnings materialize. And let's look for that thing in March. I hope you got some good out of this update. If you like this video, go ahead and share it. Give me a like. And I'll be talking to you again very soon. This has been Chuck Carnwell saying thanks a lot and signing out.